And it's a welcome back to the Gelding. Back from holidays. I can't see much of a suntan, Gelding. What's been going on?
Uh, Good afternoon, Professor. Yes, pre-recording on a Friday. Yes, back from Bali. No, there's a bit of a tan going on, so it's quite good. But the adventures of travelling by trains, I've managed to pick a cold up on the way coming back um, from Bali. So hopefully that will be all over. But certainly a wonderful time, relaxing time over there, Professor.
Well, I'm glad you're back, Gelding. It's given me somebody to talk to. I don't necessarily like looking down the barrel of the camera and talking to myself.
Professor, you did a marvellous job in my absence. It's two shows. It's a beautiful thing.
All right, Gelding.
Beautiful thing.
We've decided to go to Rosehill tomorrow, where group racing aplenty. Three Group 3 races, 5 Group 1 races, Gelding. So Rosehill's certainly the place to be. A 10-race card. The first's at 12:30 p.m. The last's at 5:55. The feature race, the Golden Slipper, Gelding, one of the big races in Sydney. Race 8, a Group 1 for 2-year-olds worth, if you don't mind, $5 million.
Wow. And I was watching during the week, Professor, a show on the Slipper, the history. When Luskin Star won it, was one of the first winners and won by 8 lengths as a 2-year-old, and then became a sensational sire back in the late 70s, I think it was, Professor. The race was worth $77,000, and now it's worth $5 million. So this is one of a premier day in Australian racing, let alone Sydney racing. I think it's probably Sydney's race's best day, but there's the championships coming up at Randwick, but certainly Rosehill's best day, and I think one of Australia's better race days, Professor.
Well, yes, Gelding, it is. But group racing, it's great to see in the autumn so many good group races in one spot.
No, it's fantastic, Professor. And good thing about Group 1s, you get good horses racing, Professor. And excuse me. And of course, couple of my favourite horses
Yes.
are racing tomorrow. They'll be short, but hopefully they'll be sweet, Professor.
All right.
Good for the parlay betting.
Yes, parlay betting definitely tomorrow, Gelding. All right, what are your 2 best bets for this great racing program at Rosehill?
Well, Professor, I've gone middle of the program in Group 1 races. Definitely, like, as I said, probably what will be the horse of the year in Australia this year, Via Sistina. Look, she's short. She's around about the $1.40. Hopefully we might get $1.50 tomorrow. We can only hope. But, look, race 5, number 6, Via Sistina. McDonald back on board, trained by Waller in $1 million Group 1 Randwick Stakes. Hopefully I think she'll just be too good for some of this field. Professor, she just looks to be a better horse than some of these others. So that will be the start of our parlay. And before the colt gets stuck into me, that's the reason we're going these things for the parlay.
Oh, Gelding, odds on, look on.
Oh, well, you still haven't explained to me how a 6-year-old bloke can call himself a colt.
Because he can, Gelding.
Oh, right. Okay, Professor. And then, look, I'll be going race 6, horse number 1, Broadsiding. Nothing new to the listeners for me tipping Broadsiding. As I said, I thought it was the best 3-year-old going around. Again, McDonald hops on for James Cumming, the Godolphin stable, over 2,000 metres. The Group 1 Rosehill Guineas, round about the $2.30, Professor. You might get a little bit better tomorrow, hopefully around about $2.50. So Look, my two are short, but hopefully they're nice and sweet and can get us away nicely in the parlay. So my tips are race 5, number 6, Via Sistina, and race 6, number 1, Broadsiding, both to be ridden by J-Mac, regarded as the best jockey in Australia. I think he could have a pretty big day tomorrow out there, Professor. He could ride up to 5 winners.
Certainly, if things go his way, you're right there, Gelding.
Well, if he has a good day, the punters will have a good day. And you like, Professor?
All right, Gelding, yes. I don't think I mentioned this at the start, but the track's rated a good 4 at the moment, and the rail's out 3 metres. So that's something to take note of. I'm going for race 7, Gelding, the George Ryder Stakes, a Group 1 race for 3-year-old horses and above, over 1,500 metres. In this one, I like horse number 10, Fangirl, coming out of Barrier 9. Gelding's had the 31 starts for 10 wins and 11 placings. So pretty impressive record, especially when you're running in a lot of group races. 32% win rate, 68% place rate. It's won $9 million in prize money, Gelding. That certainly
not bad, is it?
It impresses me. It's won 3 Group 1s and was second to the horse that you've picked, Via Sistina, in the Group 1, Very Elegant, 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And only lost by a third of a length. So if that's the best horse in Australia at the moment, why wouldn't you get on a horse that's only lost by a third of a length to the best horse in Australia?
I completely agree with you, Professor. Can't tell that logic.
Well, and good value, Gelding, because there's so many group races. $3.10 and $1.45 you can get at the moment.
Good. It's a good little wager, Professor.
I think so. J-Mac's in the saddle, and you've already spoken about how well he's going, and trained by Chris Waller, and we know how he likes to get up for the big races.
Exactly, Professor. So, let's hope.
Exactly. My second selection's in the next race, Gelding, the Golden Slipper. We've got to have a bet in that race. As I said, it's a Group 1 for 2-year-olds over 1,200 metres. In this race, Gelding, I like horse number 13, Tempted. I was tempted to pick it, and I did.
I like it, Professor. Another Godolphin horse.
Yes, Gelding, coming out of Barrier 1, only had the 4 starts for 2 wins and a placing, so a 50% win rate, 75% place rate. It's a Street Boss filly, Gelding.
Very nice, Professor. I know you like the Street Bosses.
Yes, and it's won over the distance at Randwick, Gelding. It won in the Group 2 Riesling Stakes 2 weeks ago. It ran 7th in the Blue Diamond too, Gelding. So it's got big race form.
Well, Professor, fantastic. 4 starts for 2 wins and a second. This horse is trained by very, very smart trainer in James Cumming. I like it, Professor, but geez, it's a hard race, isn't it? There's about 6 or 7 horses that have got good chances in this race. So you've gone out and you've done well.
Yeah, Gelding, I had 6 horses listed, trimmed it down to 2, and then went with Tempted. And what got me over the line was I looked at the times over 1,200 metres, and I think Tempted's got the fastest time. So
beautiful.
Hopefully it can run the fastest time tomorrow.
And a winner over its last start at Group 2 level.
Exactly, Gelding.
Do you mind telling me what the other one was?
Do I mind telling you?
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you, Gelding. I'll tell you.
Go on.
It was Woderton.
That's a danger, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the danger, Gelding.
J-Max hopped onto it rather than...
Hopped off Tempted onto Woderton.
Exactly. So
does he know something? Does he know something we don't?
Oh no, I think he's it is a Waller horse.
Yes,
but I think he's also contracted to Coolmore Racing in the big Group 1. So that's he. Remember, he hopped on years ago Home Affairs when it beat Nature Strip in a Newmarket.
Well, maybe he's upset he had to hop off Tempted.
Well, yeah. Can you dial him up and just get You know,
I'll get him on the line now, Gelding. Listen,
yeah,
Blake Shin's in the saddle. That's that's only a slight downgrading because he's in career form at the moment. 15% winners over his career, 18% in the last 50. So he's in form, Gelding.
one of that's racing's favourites, Professor. Nothing
Exactly
wrong
right,
with Blake
Gelding.
Shin riding.
How's he going? Question without notice. How's he going in the Melbourne Jockeys Premiership at the moment?
He's leading it, Professor.
Ah, I thought so, Gelding. So we've gone for the. We haven't got the top jockey in Australia at the moment, but we've gone for the top jockey in Victoria.
Yes, who has been doing a lot of travelling of late, out to Hong Kong and also to these big interstate meetings. So, and people forget, like 10 years ago, he was the leading rider up there for Gay Waterhouse. So he knows Sydney fairly well, Professor.
Yeah,
so I don't think we'll be losing anything with Blake Shin aboard, even though we are a big fan of James McDonald.
Exactly, Gelding. So my two for tomorrow's Golden Slipper race day at Rosehill, race 7, horse number 10, Fangirl, and race 8, horse number 13, Tempted. Now,
Beautiful.
I was tempted to get very upset about last week's Professor's Parlay, Gelding. You did an excellent job with Tatsamaki, and the Bulldogs eclipsed the Titans, which I was very happy about. Now, tell me this, Gelding. I've got a question. I asked Delegan during the week when we did our NRL program. There's a team that puts 50 points on the board, the Broncos.
Yeah, what's going on there?
And let me just say, Gelding, I'm just going back through my notes from last week's show. The line last week for the Broncos to beat the Raiders, the line was 13.5. Over 2 converted tries. Yep. And the Raiders beat the Broncos. Now, listen, Gelding, you know what's worse? I could have taken the Raiders with the line and won easily.
Yeah. Look, is the rugby league becoming like the English soccer league, Professor?
Well,
a few upsets.
I've steered away from it tomorrow, Gelding. Although I must admit, the Sydney Colt did say that for the first 5 weeks, I think it was 5, the first 5 weeks of any NRL season, have a look at the line and sometimes go against what you think's going to happen and take the outsider with the line, and he does that. Now, he would have come away very handsomely last week.
Yes.
He said after 5 weeks they sort themselves out, but he said you can get some really good bets up if you avoid thinking that the favourite will win and cover the line.
Jesus, Professor, now even moving to the right of that, you had a very interesting last week then while I was in Bali then. How many words did you actually get in? You're doing NRL with the Giraffe.
Yes. And
then you're talking to the Colt about rugby. How many words did you get in between the two of them?
Oh, no. I didn't get many words in on the NRL show. It's basically a Paul Delegan show.
Yes.
But that discussion about with the Sydney Colt happened 4 or 5 years ago. It was.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was off. We had the discussion offline.
Offline.
Yeah.
Eh? Okay. He's kept that one.
But it's something that came home to me when we didn't do any good last week, and I thought, I remember a bit of advice about looking at lines and looking at favourites.
So what have we got? 2 weeks left, have we? Are they up to?
Yeah, we've got 2 weeks left.
2 weeks left of taking the line betting.
Yeah, so I'll have a look at it over the next 2 weeks. I didn't like anything this week.
Right.
I did, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to experiment because we don't experiment in the Professor's Parlay.
No, not with the parlay. Maybe we might talk offline about a quite $5 bet on each of the line bets in the rugby league.
Yeah, we might and see how we go. Anyway, the Professor's Parlay is currently running at 5 out of 12, so we're at 41%. So we're still above the 30%, Gelding.
Yes, but we need to lift.
Yeah, we do need to lift. So the bet of the day we've agreed on tomorrow is race 5, horse 6, the best horse in Australia, Via Sistina, into. And we're going to the AFL, Gelding.
I like it.
The Brisbane Lions to beat the West Coast Eagles. The Brisbane Lions beat Sydney in Sydney. Gelding, that's an excellent effort. They unfurl their flag this weekend. They're the reigning premiers. West Coast Eagles, very disappointing at home, Gelding. I think it's going to be a very, very, very cold winter for the West Coast Eagles.
Yes.
Not too many people like West Coast in this one, Gelding. The line's 60.5.
Oh, 10 goals.
Over 10
Jeez,
goals.
That's a big start, isn't it?
It is a very big start, Gelding, and we'll parlay that into, unfortunately, I'm going to go against your Tigers, Gelding, even though they had a great win last week.
Oh, good win last week, yeah, but Professor, certainly a hard task for the Tigers this week, going across over to Port Adelaide and with no Tom Lynch. But so you're going Port Adelaide?
Yes, we're picking Port Adelaide, Gelding. They've only got a percentage of 33.1, but I think they might fix that this weekend. They had an absolute shocker against Collingwood. Richmond beat Carlton, but so did Hawthorn.
Yep.
So Carlton have lost 2 in a row. They don't look as good as last year, Gelding.
They bit of pressure coming on them.
You would have been very happy with the result, though, last week.
Definitely, Professor. Unexpected. I was actually in Bali watching it in a bar, having a drink, and at quarter time, I wasn't feeling that happy. When we were 5 goals down, but certainly very happy with the result.
Well, the bookies don't like Richmond either, Gelding. Even though Port Adelaide had a shocker and got thrashed last week, the line's 39.5, Gelding, so it's over 6 goals.
Oh, well, Professor, I suppose you can read a bit of form in it. Collingwood beat Richmond by 15-odd goals in one of the lead-up games, a practice game. It was a practice game, but certainly looked a class above Richmond, and they certainly looked a class above Port Adelaide last week. But, footy can change around quickly, Professor.
Yeah, it can, Gelding. I think home ground advantage for Port Adelaide will be worth a bit too. And as you say, Lynch out of the team really removes, even if he's not kicking goals, he's creating them.
Yeah, that's our target up there. But, I suppose that's footy, Professor.
All right, so the Professor's parlay for tomorrow is race 5, horse 6, Via Sistina, into the Brisbane Lions to beat the West Coast Eagles, into Port Adelaide to beat Richmond. By crikey, Gelding, I haven't spoken that much on the radio, That's Racing since the last time you're on air.
Do I wind you up, Professor?
Well, I don't know about winding up, but
the show's a bit longer.
Yeah, the show goes a little bit longer. It's good to have a little bit of back and forth, though.
Yes, very good. Very, very good.
All right, Gelding. So until next Saturday, and that's racing, it's good luck.
And good punting.